Here's the information. Thank you. Thanks, Aaron. Okay, so getting into the introduction, again, my name is Justin Scott. For those of you who are in the last section, PTA member for 19 years, 20 years going in here in a couple weeks. The account manager, spelled that one right, for the Northwest region. I have about 11 states in the US that I manage, as well as the 4 westernmost Canadian provinces. I support associations, clubs, PTA sections in Canadian provinces. And then I did forget in the introduction, it has been 3 years since we got together. So it's nice to be back in person, and forgot my business cards. So if you need to get in touch with me, justin.scott@golfteam is my email address. Certainly reach out to me at any point in time if you need any assistance. We're going to go over Golf Hub. Anyone here in the room have had any at least exposure to Golf Hub, or at least know what that is about? Okay. What Golf Hub is, and we may utilize this for some of your leagues, we may utilize this for some of your events, but just wanted to show you what this is. It's a digital flyer, and it's a set of features built to increase the awareness, participation of your events, leagues, and clinics. It provides a streamlined approach to display details, offer registration into upcoming events and leagues. Some of you obviously use the portal for registration, where golfers go to that portal and register. For those of you on TM Club who don't have a registration option, this may be an option for you, to where you can have your ladies access this Golf Hub page and then register for your particular league. It's building a roster that then you manage within your particular league. All of this information is filled out on a form, which is on the left-hand side, and it populates over here on the right-hand side, which kind of gives you the formats that the format or the information that you want to get out to your players. We can add, again, the ability to register, kind of shows the registrants. We can have a push to the portal, and also some information regarding location of your particular event or league. Again, powerful marketing tool. It does allow a TM Club registration opportunity. We can build a simple online registration form, or you can certainly optionally select to collect payments for your league. The integration is with Stripe. Those of you who are on premium may be using Stripe. Stripe is just a third-party credit card processor that we integrate with. You would build a Stripe account, attach it to your league's checking account. Then when those golfers go to sign up for your league via the hub page, they enter their credit card information. That money goes directly into your checking account. Obviously, less a transaction fee, which is 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction. Golf Genius doesn't incur any of that or take on any of those fees. That goes directly to Stripe. So a quick analogy, $100 registration. Are you going to charge 103 to net 100, or are you going to charge 100 to net down 97? So a nice way to kind of maybe promote some of your leagues. It was released a year ago. And since the release, I've got some metrics that were updated last night. We're having 1,000 customers, over 1,000 customers using Golf Hub pages. We've had almost 4,500 events published, getting close to 1,000 leagues and 1,000 clinics. And we've had about 17,000 golfers register for these particular events.
Is the flyer emailed to the league roster? Or is it a page?
It's a page, but it can be copied to a clipboard. But you necessarily probably wouldn't mail it out to your league roster, because your roster has already been built. But you may send it to all of the women on your master roster, because of the fact that this is building a roster. But if your ladies are already in the league, I mean, I guess you could send them this hub page to show them the information. Yeah. But they're already in there. But you could certainly build that, and it's just a URL link that's sent out to your players. Yes.
Do you have to have premium?
No, this is a club. This is a feature for premium and our TM Club. And as I mentioned, it may be a great alternative for the TM Club users who want to build a registration form and have players entered into the roster.
You do have an option not to register at all. Like if I wanted to.
Correct.
This,
Yes,
tell them this is the.
yes, correct. You can create a digital flyer without registration. You're absolutely right. And to your point, that may be a great use case to be like, hey, I want to build this nice page. Each page has its own URL link that you're absolutely right. They can submit it to or mail it out to your big rosters. Your use case is perfect.
Yep, here we go.
What was the joke?
I don't know, it was funny though.
So we've got a few club examples. Let me see if I can get this to. It does come up. So. Of course, I didn't change the URL. So I'm not doing it. Colorado Under Par is a charity organization. So this is not their page, but they are doing a lot with the hub page. But you can see this is a Black Mountain Golf Club to where they have built a hub page to where they have all of the information about their club championship. And as you mentioned, this is just a digital flyer. There is no registration associated with this club page. But you can certainly send this URL out to your league members, to your master roster, or any subset of your master roster. One other example here. Where's my toolbar go? I lost my toolbar. Okay. Another example is the Idaho Golf Association, and this is something that we are in discussion with the CGA, just so that you know. We can create what we call aggregated hubs, where if you build out a hub page for your league, and you promote that to a golf association, and this is what I'm talking with Ryan Smith about. This, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but this may happen in the future, where the Colorado Golf Association will build a hub page, and then they can promote all of your events on their aggregated hub. So if I go to the, if I were to go to the Idaho Golf Association, you can see here that they have promoted different events and leagues at different facilities around the state. So this is something that we're trying to certainly push out. It's only been about 3 months since inception with an aggregated hub, but we're trying to work with the AGAs to try and help promote events within your particular area. It's just trying to be another member benefit that you have with your Allied Golf Association. So we're really excited about it. It's kind of in its infancy stages. We've got some new features coming where we have a list view. We're going to have a locator where you can enter in your city and ask for any events that are within a particular radius of your city, and then that will populate to all of these events. Let me see if I can get back to my PowerPoint.
Hey, Justin, while you're doing that, we did have a question come through. Can you use another merchant provider other than Stripe? Are Zelle and Venmo options?
Unfortunately not. Stripe is the only option. And my apologies here.
There you go. I was gonna say, if you drag that zoom down, you'll be able to, you can put it on the bottom.
I can't get back to my PowerPoint. There we go.
Well,
I've got to wing it. No, and that has been because Stripe and Zelle are checking account transactions. There's more activity for fraud, where if that becomes a fraudulent activity, you don't get any of your money back. Or if you're using a credit card, you can certainly get that money back with a fraudulent payment. And also within Golf Genius, when we accept credit card payments, just for everyone's advice, we don't hold your credit card, we hold the token. So we never keep any checking account or credit card information within our platform. So that's why we usually only use Stripe. Okay. I was nervous there for a second. Okay, ringer multi-round tournament. How many people do not do a ringer? Don't do. Okay, so we've got like 95% of leagues do a ringer tournament. So this may be just an exercise in futility for those of you who don't use a ringer tournament, but most of those do. So we will kind of look at a ringer tournament and how we are going to select our rounds. We may need to build a series based off of the number of rounds that you have within your league. We're going to look at building a multi-round ringer tournament. A ringer tournament can be stroke play or a Stableford, and it can be either individual or teams. A few best practices with ringer tournaments. If you have a ringer tournament within a round, that you have additional tournaments. And that person gets DQ'd from the tournament itself, but they still want to be allocated to the ringer results. We can't DQ a person in a round because then it DQs them from the ringer tournament. So just a best practice, WD, no card, some sort of other disposition besides DQ so that that player does not end up being disqualified from the ringer tournament. Because in a round, if you DQ, it DQs them for the round tournament, for the skins tournament, and for any other multi-round tournaments that are associated with that particular round. Flight discussion. How many people flight their ringer tournament? Got a handful here. We've had this discussion. I've had this with a few clubs. You could certainly flight each week if you wanted to. However, that's going to change your results each week. And if you're fine with that, I'm fine with that too. However, on week one, I might be in flight 1 and I might be in last place. And then I reflight on week 2. Oh, great, I'm in flight 2 and now I'm in first place. So that certainly can fluctuate. What I see as a best practice, well, we've had this discussion and there is no right answer. And we can certainly have this discussion probably after the session because there's probably a number of different ways to do about it. But what I feel may be best is to have your ringer tournament, have it as a player versus flight tournament, but you don't flight it until the end. Because it's the end that maybe when you're looking to generate those ringer results, and you may be looking at that last monthly or that last weekly index update to generate those ringer results. So what we've kind of seen is, hey, let's just have a list of 1 through 100 with your ringer results, but then we won't know who the ringer winner is within those flights until that last week when we build those flights out based off of that last index update. Is it right? Is it wrong? Yes or no could be the answer, but that's what we kind of feel most equitable because you could be fluctuating between flights anyway. So what does it matter if you are in first place in one flight and then it gets reflighted at the end of the season and then you move to a different disposition in another flight? So that's kind of one thing that we see with those, with the rings.
About ringers.
Sure.
We have, our course is 27 hole.
Mhm.
And it varies which of the 18 we play each time. And when we set up ringers, we've been able to set it up successfully if we only use 18 of those 27 holes. So the times that we play that other course, we can't get ringer results in. Is there a way to set it up for 27?
Not really, because you're looking at the specific holes that you've set up. So what you may have is you may have 3 different ringer results. An AB ringer, a BC ringer, and a CA ringer.
Yeah.
And you would have to choose those rounds when you're playing those results. The other option is, which is not a very good one, which would be more rounds with just 9-hole ringer results, which are entering in results twice.
Okay.
So 27 holes is definitely that kind of unique animal where what you've done is, okay, when we play this course, this is what we use our ringer format for. Okay, my dashboard came back, great. Excited about that. Let me get back here, close out some of these. So for a ringer tournament, you can see here, if you have less than 20 rounds, if you're building out a ringer tournament, in your multi-round tournaments, you can choose the rounds that need to go towards your ringer format. This one right here, I've got my gross ringer. Trying to give you on time here. Got my gross ringer tournament player versus flight. I'm gonna use my cha-cha-cha, my better ball partners, and my individual stableford. I'm gonna skip my team round, my club championship for this. If you have more than 20 rounds, I'm sure you're familiar, you cannot check these boxes. So what you have to do is we have to create a series, which is contained under your leagues tab, multi-round series. And then we build out our ringer series based off the rounds that we want to use to calculate a ringer result. So you can see here, if I had more than 20 rounds, I'd have to create a series choosing those rounds that I wanted to build out to count towards that ringer tournament. And then I would apply this series towards that ringer tournament. So I've already got random scores in here, but as you can see, let's say we kind of did this format to where I have my ringer tournament. Okay, this is going to show my ringer tournament with players of 1 through 24 who competed in that ringer tournament over those 3 rounds. And it's going to have a finish position without a flighting result. So once this does compute, perfect, that didn't take too long. You can now see that I've got my gross ringer results based off of just my finished position. So this may be something that you want to do throughout the year. Be like, well, you know, I'm -9, I'm not very close to the top of the leaderboard. However, when we come back into your golfers tab at the end of the season, we could bring in your leagues, divisions, flights, and teams. And we'll get into the flighted discussion as well. And then within our all golfers, I didn't create a ringer division. I figured everyone in the league could be part of the ringer tournament. We can now manage our flighted golfers. And at the end of the season, we can certainly choose how we want to flight all of our golfers, whether it be a handicap index, a playing handicap. Maybe we want to create them manually, maybe via a custom field. Do we want to use number of golfers per flight, or do we want to split them up into number of flights? So let's say we're going to create 3 flights for this particular round, or excuse me, this particular multi-round tournament. A couple options here. Do I want to specify a maximum handicap index for each flight? Is it 0 to 10, 10.1 to 20, 20.1 to 30? That would be this option here. If I want to divide them equally, I wouldn't check that option. And then I move in and I can certainly rename my flights. And then we have another option down here that you may want to utilize as well, where those golfers with the same index, if there are a tie, remain in the same flight. So if player number 8 has a 10 index and player number 9 has a 10 index, if we choose this option down here at the bottom, we are going to pair those players or put those players in the same flight, which I think is fair. And because we do it alphabetically, Scott being my last name, I'm probably going to be placed, actually, I'd probably benefit, because I'd probably be placed into this flight. But Aaron will be placed in the first flight, and we have the same index. So normally having players having the same index is what we like to try and utilize. We create these flights, again, this would be at the end of the season. You don't have to, you can do it every week if you'd like, or I've seen somebody's like, oh, we're going to do it every month. So we can certainly do it both ways. Didn't have any ties there. And now to make sure that I've got my multi-round tournament set to player versus flight. I do, I went ahead and set that up ahead of time. Give me a couple seconds to rescore this. This will now generate your multi-round ringer flighted result of 1 through 8, 1 through 8, and 1 through 8 for those players. Team ringer is kind of cool. We've seen that kind of used where you can create teams. We're going to get into teams here in just a second, but we have seen ladies try to pair up together and try and have a ringer competition as a team. You can certainly do that as well. And hopefully, if all is right, I do have my 3 different gross ringer flights built out. So certainly remember with your ringer tournament, you can't have a scramble, you can't have an ultimate shot, part of that ringer competition, obviously, because you're not playing a stroke play. But hopefully that kind of gives you an idea of maybe some best practices when you're building out your ringer tournament.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Well, I was told by a rules person at the CGA that in making flights, you cannot put the same plan handicap in two separate flights. And people do get really upset about it.
I mean, the question was, you cannot put the person with the same plane handicap in two different flights. I agree, that seems inequitable.
Two people with the same.
Right, yeah, that seems inequitable to me as well, like that. And that's where that button allowed us, if Aaron and I both had
So
10.
it would flip the players.
Right, you might have 9 in one flight, 8 in another, and 7 in another because you're doing that.
One of the ways that we haven't seen flights, we pay out a percentage of the players in the flight as opposed to a flat rate for flights, maybe, some flights bigger, they have more time.
Right,
So it really, it doesn't matter if they.
Right, and then there is a feature in here, now that this is built, I guess. We'll see where we get, but great discussion here, within that multi-round tournament, now that I have built out flights. If I know it's 10, 9, and 8, we have built in the functionality. To set a first in points for division per flight. So this one I had it equal at 100, 90, 80. If I were to choose a purse and points for division or flight, I can now pay out a different point or purse structure for each one of my flights and or divisions. This guy that got added maybe last year sometime as well, because beforehand it was like, well, I need to pay out a different purse and points. Okay, go adjust the leaderboard at the end of the round. Well, great, I don't want to do that. Well, now we've given you the ability to generate a purse and points based off of flight if you have different players within each of your flights. So, and that's, yeah.
If you're running a regular tournament and it's voluntary, let's say I have 20 rounds, the person played the first 3 rounds and then the fourth round, I think I will get that in the game. If they get in, will that count their first 3 rounds?
Yep.
It will, it goes back.
Well, yeah, it retroactively goes back, and that's kind of we kind of had that discussion as to how you do it, and there's really no good way of doing it. And the fact that you create that all golfers division, they're in that division, they played those first 2 weeks, and then it's over.
So we twice every. Then at the end, we will read division flights and teams again. And set the flights that you want, should I bring, and then you go back.
All of them, yes, because it's a golfer's tab. You're working with because it's gonna automatically update. And that's where it's like, okay, like we're saying, okay, for a month, I was in first place, but we reflighted. Now I moved into a better flight or a worse flight, and now my position finish has changed.
But it doesn't.
Nothing to those because those are round tournaments. Your results in those round tournaments don't change because you haven't changed. That's a round tournament. Great question. Great question. Okay. Let's kind of get back in here, see where we are. For those of you online, sorry, I'm flipping around here. My boss would probably not be very happy that I wasn't here. Team tutorial. Had a question about this. Hey, I'd like to get some information about teams. Do I need teams? How do I use teams? How do I flight teams? How do I create a foursome versus field tournament that I need to play? So we're going to have a little discussion on that. And again, do we need teams? That's the first question. If, correct. If it is a round tournament that is non-flighted, you do not need teams. Pair versus field, foursome versus field. You do not need to create teams because we're going to use the pairings positions in order to generate those results. When you need teams is if you are using a multi-round tournament, because we need those teams to be recognized for multiple rounds. And those teams are set up at the golfers tab. So if I had a multi-round ringer tournament that was based off of teams, I would have to build those teams under the golfers tab, league divisions, flights, and teams. And we use that team list throughout the duration of that multi-round tournament. If you are going to flight teams in a round, or if you're going to flight teams in a round, only teams. Because we have to build those teams and then generate those flights based off of the combined index or combined playing handicap of those particular teams. Again, where do we build it? Golfers tab, if it's a multi-round tournament, and we're using that for more than one round. Under the rounds tab, if we have a 4-person scramble, we're going to build those teams, and then we will flight those particular teams. You can be a player on multiple teams, however, you cannot flight that particular team list. Let's say it is a better ball of partners, and you have an odd number of ladies who are playing. You have 19 ladies. Well, we would have 9 teams of 2, and then we're going to have one woman who's on her own team. And then we can certainly assign another woman to that other team. There would be the chance of double dipping, obviously, but we can certainly build a team list where a player can be part of more than one team. You just can't flight that team list because based off the last session, you can only be in the flight one time. So it won't allow you to flight that particular team list because there is a woman on 2 different teams. So now we're going to jump back in here. We're going to go into our team round where we have 24 players. We're going to build some teams, and you have a number of different ways to build those teams. If I come down here and I manage my team list and flighted teams, these are the 24 golfers. You can see that we have a number of different ways, and you saw that on the last PowerPoint. We can create them manually using a custom field, using the entry number, automatically create teams using pairings, or have a team listed in another division. I could certainly use that one. What we're going to do today is, let's say we're going to do an ABCD scramble. Okay, well, how do I generate a team list of ABCD? I don't see anything on here. What I have done, and what you can do, is you can create your pairings based off of ABCD. There is that option. And now that I have that built, I can now create my pairings, or excuse me, my team list based off of the pairings. And then I can do a couple different options. Obviously, I'm not going to create based on pairs, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I'm not going to base it off of a wheel team list. You certainly could. I am going to create my team list based off of pairing group. We have some options as to how you want to present or build that team list. Normally how they're added in the system or alphabetical is what is chosen. And now that I have done this, you're going to get a warning, be like, hey, you're creating a team list in the rounds tab. That's exactly what I want to do. I want to create a team list for this one round. So I've created my ABC pairings. Based off of the pairings of my 6 pairings of my ABCD ladies, I'm now going to create 6 teams. That certainly could be used for a player or team versus team competition, but it's not necessary. I could have just used foursome versus field. But now, because I need to flight these teams, this is kind of my scenario. I'm going to flight these 6 teams again under either the rounds tab or the breadcrumb. I could have gone to all golfers team list actually. Here I have my 6 teams. And now I'm going to manage my flights by teams. We're not flighting golfers, we're flighting teams. Again, how many flights are we going to have? Let's do 2 flights. We're not going to specify the maximum index. Let's actually do playing handicap this time. With your playing handicap, we can now set the course that we are going to build that off of. The tee that we are going to utilize, and I think I have the red ladies. Maybe you want to use a differential where you want to limit the playing handicap of these ladies when you're creating a flight. You certainly have the ability to build a differential. Normally with a foursome, you don't really do that. It's more of a pairs scenario. But if I'm a 0 and Aaron's 15, and we want to bring him closer to me, we would set the differential to bring him down, let's say 8 strokes for me, then I would be a 0 and Aaron would be an 8. And we would generate those flights accordingly. So again, we would build these flights. We're building a round team list with flights, 3 and 3. You could certainly choose this option as well, probably since it didn't apply with the ringer tournament. I'm assuming that this probably won't have anybody with the same combined index between 4 players. Be very unlikely. We could certainly select that option if you wanted to. So now we have our 3 teams in each flight. These can be renamed, as you know. I can certainly edit the name of the flight if we wanted to have something different than just the flight 1, 2, or 3. And now that we come into the tournament itself that we have built, it was set up as a foursome versus field just so that I could get this ready to go. And we can change some of these settings. Looks like I had it set to best 2 balls. So now we are using our team list that I have built for the round. Here is an option right here. This is kind of something just to be aware of. The tee sheet is or will be physically organized by team and should be stored that way. Match play and scramble and alternate shots required. Let's say we do have some players playing in a different pairing group, but they're all on the same team. The second option, the tee sheet may or may not be physically organized by team, but we want the results to be scored by team. So this would be, you know, you're playing a better ball of partners. I need to go early. Aaron needs to go late. I go off at 9 o'clock. He goes off at 12. It doesn't matter. We're still going to accumulate our score because we are on a team, but the tee sheet is not physically organized in that fashion. However, if we were to build out a stroke play team versus flight, playing a scram, actually I entered best ball scores, so let's just keep the best 2 balls on each hole. Over 18 holes, maybe we bring down the percentage a little bit because it's a 4-person event. I can't remember. Aaron would probably know what the percentage is for a 2-better ball of 4. I'm just going to say 45. Again, we can change the course and points per division or flight if we wanted to. Keep in mind that this is being divided by the number of players. So that you're not going to get $120 per player, you're going to get $30 per player because we are using a 4-person team dividing the purse. So we've kind of built this tournament, we've built out our teams, we've flighted those teams, and now when we got scores in there, fingers crossed. Now when we generate this team result, we're going to have 2 flights of 3 teams in each flight. Again, I don't know how often you do flight teams, but this is the scenario that would need to be accomplished if you are flighting teams within a round or within a multi-round tournament. Foursome versus field, I probably could have named that a little bit better, but yes, at least I was lucky enough to have flight 1 and flight 2 come out with those proper results. Every kind of, I don't know if everyone uses it, but I just wanted, it was brought up as a question, as a scenario, so I just wanted to address that as kind of an advanced discussion. You can see here, here's some options on how we build teams, and now let's move into the club championship. Everyone conduct a club championship within their league most of the time. Okay. The difficulty or not the difficulty, but what we need to do when we build out a club championship is we need to build out a division in the golfers tab. And there's a couple different ways that we can go about doing that. We can either build a division in the rounds tab. And then we need to promote that division into the golfers tab. And the easiest way to do that is to create pairings. We create a division based off of those pairings, and then we promote that division into the golfers tab. That's an easy way to not have to manually build out all of your golfers based off of your round roster and then going into the golfers tab and building out a club championship division manually. So there are two different ways we can do it. We'll go over showing you how to do that. And then obviously with your club championship, normally you have flights within your club championship. And a lot of times you want to pull out either the overall gross and or overall net winner from your flighted competition so that those overall winners are recognized as the club champion. And then those players who are in second place gross and second place net get moved up into that first place position within those flights. Don't want them to double dip, you know, you're not the overall club championship and you're not the first flight champion. Normally their gross champion does come from your first flight, but sometimes your net champion can come from any one of those 3 flights that have been built. So look at that here as well. So within the building a division within the rounds tab based off of pairings, and this is kind of a little bit of a hack that you have to do as well, is you have to just randomly create those pairings. And then I come into my rounds, divisions, flights, and teams. And I'm going to add a new division. Club championship division. And then I am going to build this division by course used in the pairings. I gotta name it again, of course. Got to choose the proper round. I've already created my divisions, or excuse me, I already created my pairings. And I always forget to do that. I always name it and then you have to name it again. So, but I'm going to build my club championship based off of my Azalea course that has been built based off of my pairings. And then when I go to next, this is now going to build this division. Notice I only had 19 golfers in the pairings. I don't have 24 golfers. I've got my 19 golfers in my pairings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to promote this division to my league. Now we could certainly create a division and manually select the 19 golfers who are in that division and promote them as well. But I've created those pairings. I can promote them to the league. And now it's going to say, yes, I'm creating a league division. And I'm going to copy it to all rounds. I'll be able to use this in multi-round tournaments. That's great. That's exactly what I want to do. So I could come in and now in my golfers tab, I've got my league divisions, flights, and teams. And I have my club championship division of 19 golfers. Now that's not to say, again, and I'm not sure which way is the best way or the easiest way. I could certainly look at my round player roster from my club championship. I could look at these players, I could duplicate a tab, and then I could go into my golfers divisions, flights, and teams and choose Cherry, Cheryl, Cindy. Lots of Sherrys in there. I could certainly choose all of these golfers in my leagues, divisions, flights, and teams. And I could certainly confirm those golfers manually by editing my membership. Carol. I could choose those 19 golfers and they would then be in that manually added division. So you can do it both ways. The reason why I kind of like promoting those golfers from the rounds tab is the fact that, you know, you don't have a chance to possibly make a mistake by missing out and not choosing a woman who was in the round roster.
I'm a little confused. I run the club championship every year. You sign up like any other round and then you just fight and then you play the other ones.
You played one round or two rounds?
You play 2 rounds and we data multi-round. You know.
Right, but, okay, but how do you, but you have to build a division in the golfers tab.
We just do it like any other 2-day tournament. It works fine. It seems like this is a lot more work.
Okay, well, my question here then is, if I build a round division, and maybe you have a better, maybe you do know how to work this better, but if I build a round division, and if I confirm some golfers in this round division,
Yeah, hold on a second. So when we both our club championship,
Mhm.
every August 2nd, you sign up for it. Everyone that signs up for it is in round. Then you just like the golfers when you play the round. So why do we have to pay the division? It's already a 2-day tournament. built in.
so are you building 2 round tournaments and linking them, or are you building multi-round?
It is a whole tournament and it links it. They
Right,
combine the 2 scores.
But I'm here, but if I build this round tournament,
Even if people don't play both days. It's
I've got my round division, if I come in and I try to build out a multi-round tournament,
It's all golfers, 100%.
We freeze the flags in the second round. So whatever flag you're in, start back, you start with students.
I can't choose my round division here. I can't, that round division that you created, or those players that are in round 1, how are they in this multi-round tournament?
So we don't sign up on the second day, we just start on the first day.
Okay,
We both involved in, yeah, players that don't play the second year, don't play, and just take them out, right? And
right, but
we don't have to promote them, it's just like any other one.
But you're creating a league tournament then, right? It sounds like you're creating a tournament in round 1 of the club championship, a tournament in round 2 of the championship, and linking them.
The second day would be for like a 2-year.
It's not here. I can't choose that division. What players are playing here?
Use all golfers because they're playing.
But you're creating a flight in the round. You can't use that second flight in that second round. Okay, well, we'll certainly have discussion. Let's kind of.
It's like.
Okay.
Not updated.
So, well, I'm kind of looking here, so my second game in round 1. Let's say I go to my second round. Kind of getting thrown off here. I was
Yeah.
hoping-
I just want to understand why you're
Okay, so I
Okay,
guess,
we could talk about it more
yes,
afterwards.
well, I mean, this is kind of my last subject, and we've got about 8 minutes here, so I guess my second round here, I create my new pairings. I'll pair my previous results. Use my club championship round. Keep my exact same pairings. Yeah, I mean, you certainly can, and then I. That's on here. It's a good discussion. I'm kind of trying to find how you link the 2 different flights that you're creating in individual rounds to generate a result, because normally they are individual flights. So now I have, like, where is my club championship multi-round tournament? Like, because if then I come in and I create another flight here, you know, if I flight these golfers, right? But if I do that, it's going to say you are about to create a flight within a single round, and this will be available only in this round. If this flight is needed for more than 1 round, click cancel and go to the golfers division flights and teams. So I'm just wondering how a flight in flight 1, or excuse me, flighting in day 1 And flighting in day 2, because those are quote unquote separate, how they get combined to generate a 2-day aggregate, because those flights are built at the round level.
You can write it like a division level, but you don't need to create a club championship division. So you give your all golfers division, because whoever signed up is playing, right? It was still playing. I just don't know, what I did not understand was the whole club championship division. I've never done that. It seemed like extra work.
Well, I just don't know how this is gonna score. It's like you're gonna have 2 individual round results. Like, because of the fact that now I've got one round with 10 and 9 flights, and then I've got another round with 10 and 9 flights, but they're not recognized. They're individual round flights. They're not a flight that can be used for a multi-round tournament.
I think you misunderstood me. I used to be all golfers division. And there's a fight, you can fight in that division. Our fights are pretty much. And then. If you just use the all golfers division.
Right, but and that kind of makes sense, but if you're flighting all of your golfers, then you are,
It's only the people that sign up or fight, they don't fight all of them. They don't fight the people that sign up.
in the,
This is the third time you've said this, but you just don't let it update any past flight in the second round. And I've done it 2 years in a row now, but we have also 2 divisions, however. It just doesn't update for the second round. You keep the same flight as the beginning round. For your second round, and it'll have the scores, if you round.
okay. I'll run some testing. Kind of got thrown off there, so.
Sorry.
Yes,
We figured the flights announced for a couple of weeks, and then it's updated. So when I do the flights, I do it at the big level. And I think with region rounds. So that carries most of the problems. The next time I change the flights, it's getting. So I don't need to change anything, as long as those are moved down. We can run because it's not makes more sense. So those flights, just like you said, are the same.
okay, now they may be the same, but it sounds like you're flighting all of your golfers, correct? And that's what I'm saying, is that fair? Because not all of those golfers are playing in the club championship. So that may be what you're doing. You have 90 golfers in your all golfers division, right? Are you flighting your club, you're flighting your golfers division flights and teams? So that's fine, but is that fair? So,
It's not, I mean, what does it matter?
because you're not flighting the actual players that are playing, you're flighting all of your golfers as opposed to the subset of golfers that have said, I'm going to participate.
It does not like all of them, like the people that are trying to. That would take her next time later.
Okay, well, we'll come on up here. I'm gonna have you show me how you do it. We'll build it out. Again, apologize, we kind of got a little off track, and if that is the way to do it, I will certainly send out something to Aaron to amend what I thought was the way to build out a club championship that is a multi-round within the league. And if that is correct, I certainly appreciate you getting some light, because certainly, as we all know, you can always learn something new within the program every day. So kind of got a little bit over it. Those of you online, sorry for the discussion, but hopefully you got a little something out of it. And, we have a couple minutes left, but we can certainly take any questions that we need.
No.
I have a question on the ringer. How many clubs do rows versus net?
Well, I see people do both. You can't have a biased ringer tournament, but I see some clubs, they'll do a gross and a net ringer tournament, and you just have to set up.
Can you show some of our online viewers how to get to Golf Hub?
So for Golf Hub, how you get to Golf Hub, you're going to be under the apps tab, and you're going to create a Golf Hub page. And this is where everything on the left-hand side will funnel over into the right-hand side. Notice I've got my league title, I've got the dates of my leagues. I can include the portal link, which just got added over here on the right-hand side. I may not give a tournament name because it may be multiple formats. We can choose the course or no course. If you have one facility, you might just want to choose one course. If you have two, you may want to choose no course. And then over here on the right-hand side, your league description with. Thank you. Time. This will funnel over here on the right-hand side. I can't see it very well. I can actually see it better on a big screen than you can on my computer. This automatically publishes over to the right-hand side. And then you can add in schedules, sponsorships, banners, anything into this hub page. After that hub page is then saved. Okay. After this is saved, then you can do one of two things. You can keep it and not publish it. Or you certainly could publish this into your public hubs, publish it into my hubs, and then after that is saved, then you can go about building out your registration within that hub page. As a premium user, I would recommend using the registration center to build out that hub page. If you are a TM Club user, you can add the registration and it walks you through building out a registration form. If you need to build a player limit, if you are including a registration up to X number of golfers, we want to put a closing date on this registration. And then we want to collect payments for that particular registration. After that page is built, it is then populated into your hub page, which is found in the My Golf Hub setup. And then we have this event that can now be copied, populated onto a website, sent out to your membership. And that is what is then seen if you were to publish a hub page. You've got your main hub page, and then you have all of your events that are appearing below. And if I had enabled registration, I could certainly view that lead and then register to that event. So thanks for all the questions. I'm going to pass along to Aaron. We're a couple minutes over. I want everybody to have time to get to their next session and start their meetings.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, ladies, I know we try to cover a lot of material here, a lot of in-depth stuff. Again, we will be going into more in-depth topics on our 3-part Golf Genius 101, 103 virtual sessions. So if you want to learn a little more and go a little more in depth, I know I do. We have this QR code here that you can scan and sign up right now if you want to. Those of you joining us online, I put a URL that takes you directly to our Colorado Golf webpage. Click that red button, and you'll see the dates, times, and the topics that we're going to be exploring during either his sessions and or if you want to go to a handicap session, you'll see those dates and times and what we're going to be talking about there as well. All right, for those of you in person, I believe our next session starts at 11:30 over in Mitchell. So you guys have about a couple minutes to get there. Go refresh yourselves, get some water, some iced tea, drink, something like that. Again, thank you, ladies. It's great to see you all. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask us. Thank you.
I'm wondering if you